would love to get inspired of how just by having just $80 in your pocket, going to US and making a mark across the world.
Like I went from India with 80 bucks in my pocket. I learned to fly, airplane just for a hobby, just to take a risk. Because I was afraid of flying.
So what has been your mantra like throughout, as when you start your journey in a foreign country, the challenges are much different than what people see.
If you want to fail in life, you're better off failing in India. You won't starve to death. You can't afford to fail if you go overseas. I work also as an advisor to the president of Association of Indian Doctors in helping our members bring value on board.
So what is the minimal thing everybody can do to have a preventive health and at the same time stay away from diseases like cancer?
Again, it's simple things. Again, if there's three things we need to do, we need to have health in your body, health in your mind, and health in your spirit. Right? It all matters.
The guest for today is Dr. Joseph M. Chalil. It's a complete honor having you on this show, and it's very motivational for me that you've come all the way from Florida to be with us and give us your blessings and just take the show further. And before going further, uh, as we all know, that you're a renowned physician, not only American, I would say a renowned global physician. So we would love to know about your inspiring story. I think not only me, but anybody who's watching this would love to get inspired of how just by having just $80 in your pocket, going to US and making a mark across the world.
Oh, thank you. First of all, thank you so much for having me here. It's my first visit to Mohali in Punjab. So I wish you all the best with this show. I wish you will be the best watched show in globally, not just in India. So again, my story is not unique to me. My story is very similar to many Indian Americans who are overseas. I'm the chief strategic advisor to an association called Association of Physicians of Indian Origin, API, American Association of Indian Doctors. I would say about among the 1 lakh doctors we have in America or more, 99% will have same story like me. They all, India gave us the best primary education, gave us the best medical education, and now we want to branch out to see what we can do beyond the reach of India to spread the name of India outside of India and to see what we can do to fix the system. So that's what all of us are doing. So as I said, my story is not unique. I've went to America in 1998 or 1999 beginning, and been in different aspects there. But now I get blessed to be in multiple locations or multiple positions. First of all, as a chief medical officer of a company called Novo Integrated Sciences, which is a NASDAQ listed corporation. We run a few hundred clinics in Canada, a nutraceutical factory in Windsor, Ontario. We have an agreement with Lifetime or LA Fitness, a corporation in the US, to set up clinics inside in the US, 700 clinics or so. So we are expanding our reach. I work also as an advisor to the president of the Association of Indian Doctors in helping our members bring value on board. I teach in the business school in Florida, in Nova Southeastern University, as a professor, as a chairman of the board for the healthcare business school programs. I also work on the board of the medical MD degree program in Florida. So, as I said, like any of our member physicians who are in the USA, I haven't done anything unique myself. But one thing I would always say is that I've been willing to take some risk and to write some books and write some articles and be more vocal about what I do than most people.
Dr. Joseph, you're very humble to say that you're not unique. Your story is not unique. But as I say, as we can, as it's very simple to say that you are doing these things. But I know it's very difficult. Uh, so we would love to know about how the journey started, how you chose MBBS initially, and from there we'll ask you more questions. But first of all, this would be my foremost question as an avid listener myself, that how did you happen to choose MBBS? Were you inclined towards medical sciences during your school days, or it was just a matter of happening and you just happened to become a doctor? Or please tell us about it.
I have to say again, that's also not unique. Many of us, like Indian parents, want their children either to be a doctor or engineer. When I grew up, I wanted to be a businessman. Because my father ran businesses and we ran hotels, and so I thought, I want to be a businessman. But my father said you should become a doctor. So again, he passed 29 years ago. I was here for his annual for the ceremony. But again, it was because of my dad that I joined medical school, and I wanted to show him that, hey, I can do this, and I finished it, and then went into business school, went into managing companies and things like so. As I said, this is not unique either. Any Indian children watching me or Indian doctors, usually you do things because your parents are pushing, which is a good thing, because Indian parents put so much emphasis on education and getting their kids across, whether it is in engineering or in arts or medicine or whatever it might be, and they push for education, which is key.
After your MBBS, you went to US. You did a lot of things after that. Uh, why was the choice of going to US made? Uh, like what happens is most of the times, I know US has always been the number one destination for all the students across the world. But what was your trigger choice for going to US and pursuing your career further in that country?
Again, US is a land of opportunity. Like most of us, we wanted to achieve higher. It's easier to achieve because it was a dream country to destination to go to. When I first went to US, I joined the US Navy, Bethesda Medical Corps. So they had a shortage of physicians, and it was easy to get in because of my entrance scores. So, and Navy paid for my business school, my fellowship, my further education, got me access to many of the leaders in politics. In fact, I was vocal about the state of healthcare even before I left to US. I believe that the process we call healthcare. I know we are in Chandigarh, a seat of one of the prominent educational institution in healthcare in India, but healthcare in anywhere in the world, including in India, we really truly care about someone's health, or is this just a disease care system? Like for example, regular doctors, if you get sick, you go to a doctor's office, they fix you, and you go back. You get sick again, you go back. So that's more of a sick care system than a healthcare system. In India or in the US for that matter, no one's promoting good nutrition. In fact, in MBBS, I was never taught nutrition or value of lifestyle medicine or any of those things. Same as many of doctors worldwide. So, are we promoting smoking cessation? Are we promoting exercise or good lifestyle choices, or are we just giving pills and injections for diseases? So that's been the dilemma, and the problem has been it's too expensive just to treat patients when they get sick. You know, in India, many of the cancer patients are diagnosed late stage, like, stage 3, stage 4, breast cancer and other things, where we could detect this early on and hopefully prevent this from happening and getting it worse and save lives. And this is something which I've been promoting in India and abroad, is that we need to push for annual physical exam. We need to push for preventative medicine, not disease caring. So my articles, my writings, my book is all about revamping the way healthcare is delivered in the US and across the world. And how do we, again, I wrote a book called the Beyond the COVID-19 Pandemic. But that was about how the pandemic opened our eyes towards the deficits in our healthcare system and what can we do to prevent that from happening again.
So, in the last 25 years, what major changes have you seen in the healthcare system in US, in India, and in general across the world? And do you think are we going towards the right healthcare pattern, as you mentioned, and not as disease care pattern? So, are we moving towards the healthcare pattern, or is there still a long way to go ahead?
Unfortunately, healthcare hasn't moved much in the past 2 or 3 decades because in in USA it's more almost all privatized. So private hospitals were providing care, and then this system of insuring people, like insurance companies came in initially as non-profit entities, started providing insurance at lower cost, at higher benefit, everybody get cared for. Then these insurance companies started charging more from the patients and billing a lot more and paying less to the hospitals and to the doctors' offices. So they end up becoming multi-billion dollar corporations. None of them are now not for profit in the US, and they are become for profit um, publicly traded corporations with billions of dollars in profit a year, and no one's questioning it. And then the power they have is so big that nobody want to rock the apple cart. India, there's still more hope because India has a dual payer system, because government has essential care through our systems of medical colleges, government hospitals, taluk hospitals, the village hospitals, or the primary health centers. It's still effective, even though the quality may not be there. But the private system also is more capitalistic, like Apollos and Manipals are also booming well. So if you have the money, you can go to the private, and if you have no money, you can go to the government system, which is better than completely privatizing everything, where people have no option to go other than pay a lot of money if you have no insurance. In India, in America, if you have no insurance, there is no hope. You would get a bill of not just lakhs of rupees, but crores of rupees, a bill after maybe a week or two of hospital stay, which is unaffordable. So what patients do is they will never pay the money, and the hospital end up writing it off. So in effect, it's a charitable act, but it is when the charity is forced on you, it is not a charity, it is a tax. So I think India still have more hope, where the cost of healthcare is still lower because of Indian pharma companies are now the world's leading corporations manufacturing lowest price medications here in India. Our doctors charge less than most doctors worldwide. Our hospital costs less than most hospitals worldwide. Our government hospitals offer services for free. Again, my push to the Prime Minister's office, to the Indian healthcare system, and to the health minister has been to improve these primary health centers. I've been writing articles about it in the Sunday Guardian for a long time about the PHCs need to be fixed. We need to bring in innovation into the primary health center. That's exactly where it starts. Whether we bring in private-public partnerships, where we bring in non-profits, charities, gurudwaras, churches, temples into helping with the primary health centers, giving everybody a proper care. Like a proper care means a proper wellness care, not just fixing them when they get sick, but let's check everyone every year, for their blood pressure. Let's do a random blood sugar level. See if they can identify diabetes. Let's do random cancer screenings. If we can do these 3-4 things, that will reduce, the cost of healthcare in India. That will reduce the diagnosis of late stage diseases, like people being diagnosed with complications of diabetes or hypertension, like increased blood pressure. America, same thing. We really don't truly promote preventative health, and with the new technologies coming in, with AI, with telemedicine, with virtual visits, if we collaborate, if we improve our PHCs and our government hospitals club together in some sort of a hub and spoke network, with improving our the insurance scheme Prime Minister has launched into preventative health. Right now, it only pays if you get into hospital. But if we imagine if this Ayushman Bharat scheme, comes into paying for preventive health visits, that will prevent hospitals prevent patients from going into hospital. So I believe India has more hope, and India will be helping the world. There is one more bigger dilemma coming in where India can help, because most of the world is getting older. The population is getting older. The doctors are retiring. Younger doctors are not being made as often as we need. This is not just a story of US. US is expecting a 1 lakh doctor shortage in the next 10 to 20 years. This is the same story in Spain, same story in London, same story in Europe, same story in Germany, same in Australia, same in Canada. So the advantage India has is a human resource capital. We have a lot more young talents, young doctors being trained here, and we have enough to be trained again. My only challenge or my only question to the Indian Health Ministry, to the Prime Minister's office, is to improve the standard, improve the quality of education here, make it in par to all the foreign medical schools. That way, if there is a pandemic like COVID, if there is a disaster like the war, unfortunately, what's happening in Middle East or in Ukraine happens, Indian doctors are standing by, like our NDRF team standing by to fly to any place in the world or any ship. So I'm a former Navy medic, so we had 2 hospital ships in the U.S. Navy. When America gets into war, the hospital ships follow the American military. So people need surgery, people need care. They would be taken by helicopter to the ship, and the surgeries and emergency procedures are done on the ship itself. Why can't India do similar things? Why can't India develop hospital, naval ships or private ships, offer services where it's needed? If there is an outbreak of a disease in Kerala, you can park the ship outside Cochin and ship people to and fro and take care of them. Same thing in Calcutta, and this same ship could travel to Sri Lanka if there is a disaster happening in Sri Lanka or Bangladesh or even Pakistan for that matter. Why not? Because what we need to know is that the world is getting much smaller. The borders doesn't matter, because COVID proved that it doesn't matter which country you live in, which state you live in, or whether you're the president of the US or the Canadian Prime Minister, you all get sick with disease. So we need the Vasudeva Kutumbakam, the way of the one world, one healthcare. That is the future. So I think I'm still bullish on Indian healthcare and Indian people saving the world.
Your book, Beyond the COVID-19 Pandemic, as the title in itself has, Beyond the COVID-19 Pandemic. So what changes have you seen in the perspective of people towards health, towards preventive health, after COVID-19 happened across the world? Like even US, India, or anywhere you have traveled or you've seen. So if you can just elaborate a bit about that, and a bit more about the book as well. So what you cover in the book, and what all topics you have touched upon. So we would love to know about that as well.
Again, I wish there was a lot more changes happened in the world because of the pandemic. Unfortunately, our memory is very short-lived. People make all these promises that, hey, if I come back to life after this pandemic, I'm going to make all these changes. I'm going to be a better person. I'm going to work out every day. I'm going to eat right. I'm going to go, take some risks, start a business, whatever it might be. But I'm pretty sure almost all of them. So there's no masks, there's no sanitizers. People think, oh yeah, this is a waste of time anymore. So why would I worry about any of those things? But again, washing hands was the age-old Indian tradition. So this is not something which pandemic taught us. Our ancient Indian saints have told us that we need to wash your feet, wash your hands, eat before, wash before you eat food, wash after you. That's not a Western culture. They don't wash hands at all. Usually it's fork and knife and a knife.
And like being a doctor yourself, what is the basic regime one should follow to keep a healthy life, like a generalized one? I know that everyone in India or anywhere in the world doesn't have the same lifestyle, the same eating habits, or even the same, I would say, the their pockets won't allow certain things as well. So, what is the minimal thing everybody can do to have a preventive health and at the same time stay away from diseases like cancer, which as you've mentioned during our talks as well, that it's increasing day by day, and people get to know about cancers in the stage 3 and 4 when a little can be done or nothing can be done, uh, and end up losing a fortune and obviously loss of life. So, what are the basic things what people can do in their general life? If you could just give a few pointers or a few suggestions, which can be easily uh, made a habit.
Again, it's simple things. Again, if there's three things we need to do, we need to have health in your body, health in your mind, and health in your spirit, right? It all matters. So it just having a healthy body, like a bodybuilder, going to a gymkhana every day, and when if you doesn't eat right and your mind is all crazy and your spirit is all screwed up, it doesn't help you. So you need to have a holistic healthcare, which is very pure Indian in recommendation. This is not what Western culture is telling you, right? If we can follow something, so simple things, right? For example, daily baths, daily exercise. Exercise doesn't mean you have to go to a gym and do something. Go for long walks and go for some gardening in your yard, or do some farming. These are exercises. Get some sunlight a day. Don't sit in the air conditioner whole day and expect to be. And eat something which is healthy, whether it is good vegetables either grown in your home and some fruits. So fruits, vegetables, whether or not you eat meat or not, it doesn't matter. But and then have a daily routine. Either you believe in meditation, if you are a believer in God, go to your temple, go to gurudwaras, go to your churches. It does make a difference in your life, because then you have, and then have a lot of friends, and talk to friends and have good time with friends, and try to avoid products that harm your body, um, like like illegal drugs, um, excessive alcohol consumption, smoking. There's nothing good comes from any of smoking or drug usage.
So, what do you think? What is the major reason people go haywire and follow these paths of drugs, excessive smoking, or excessive drinking? So, what is the major reason? Why do you think that it's increasing day by day, and why people are going towards that? Is it about the expectations from their life, and they're unable to get that, or the peers doing better, or anything else? Like from your experience, you've seen, or whatever you've seen, if you would put a light on, share something about the same.
Again, I believe we have uncalled expectations in life, when we are disappointed more than, I want to have, that Mercedes car and the 20,000 square feet mansion. That's not what you need to be happy. So if you can be content with what you have in life, you are less likely to get depressed and disappointed, and get into, you know getting into alcohol or smoking, to get to sleep, because they can't sleep without it. They get so stressed. Either you have, because you don't have friends, you don't have families you speak to, so you stick to what you have. I would say be happy with what you have. But I tell all the students, I teach medical school, I teach business school, is that, the new kids, the new thing is that, oh yeah, I want to make a lot of money, I want to do this job because it's going to pay me more money. So my thing is, please don't follow money. We'll always get disappointed. Do what you think which is good for you, make you happy. Do something for the world, because you think last thing you want is just to come here and stay for 60, 70 years, and once you're gone, nobody cares, nothing you did. So do something which the world will know that you did something for the world, that there was a purpose behind your birth, there was a purpose behind your life. And if you live a purpose driven life, then you don't have time to get disappointed, you don't have time to get drunk, you don't have time to get smoking. And then keep your friends close to you, talk to them, get active on social media, but not about complaining about stuff, but communicate with your friends. break a bread when you are in anywhere in the world and do the best you can for your fellow human beings.
There's another thing attached to it. What I personally see is sometimes because there's a peer pressure around. You see a lot of friends across you doing a lot better sometimes, driving swankier cars, and sometimes what I find is the youth gets insecure that way, and that's why sometimes they don't meddle with the friends as much as they used to during the college time or the school time, because money was never the talk between friends during that time. How can the youth, because as you mentioned that India is one of the youngest populations right now, and India has a lot of energy. The youth has a lot of energy. How can Indian youth make the most of this opportunity what India is having right now and help India become a superpower in the next 10 years? So, what would you like to suggest?
I would say, if you use illegal drugs and alcohol and smoking, they do affect your brain, permanently, sometimes irreversibly. So the worst thing you can do to your body is to lose your intellect, lose what God given to you or your family given to you, your IQ, your ability to study and be smart. Without that, if you're just a druggie, you are of no use to anybody in this world, anyone in this country, and you won't make India proud. So I would say every job, irrespective of what you make and what you have, should earn respect, whether it is cleaning the floors or the doctor sitting in the office or the CEO of a corporation or the chief medical officer of a company like me. It doesn't matter. I did not became a chief medical officer overnight. As I said, I had $80 in my pocket. I've done any job I can. I joined the Navy because I didn't have any money. I didn't have another job. And I've done everything I could, went into companies, into multiple jobs, and finally became where I am, without being jealous of anyone else. So your destiny will come to you. Your purpose will come to you if you don't follow money, if you choose your purpose. So my suggestion to all the Indian kids who are listening, Indian students, college, work hard. This is the time, and do not mess up your brain. That's the easiest thing you can do, especially when you're under 22, 23. Do not get into any of the psychotropic drugs or alcohol excessive use, which can or marijuana, which can permanently damage your brain cells and will never make you smart. Because if you don't perform well, you will not succeed in life. You need to fight. This is a dog eat world, dog eat dog world. So you need to be smarter than the rest of the world to survive. And thank God, most Indians are very smart. Whether they have a pedigree or not, it doesn't matter whom you're born to. Your color of your skin or your last name of your parents does not matter. Most, I would say, 99.9% of Indians are smart. So just use it to your advantage, and that's the way you succeed in life, because that's what's happening in the rest of the world, because they have the cushion of life. That life is easy. You can make money working in any store in America. So the kids don't have that drive to work hard. They don't have the drive to study hard. They don't have to be number one in the class to succeed, because everybody will get a job. But they don't have the drive to be number one. So Indian students, on the other hand, has to study harder, to get into our entrance exams, to get into our medical schools, get into our engineering colleges, get into our IITs. So that's exactly what makes you better, is that if you use your brain, you grow it.
Another thing which you would like to tell to the parents, because as you mentioned that uh, when you were growing up, the options were less, either become an engineer or a doctor to become successful in life. And this has been happening since along. Even I'm an engineer. The options, your mind is conditioned in a way that if you want to be successful, you become an engineer or a doctor. But now, as you see that many professions are booming, and anybody who excels anywhere grows technically and has a positive mindset. Uh, but on the contrary, a lot of students do engineering or become a doctor just because their parents want them to be, and then they somehow get depressed or take um, support from other extra sources, as you mentioned. So, how can this be improved in the society so that uh, there are maximum achievers and less number of people who want to do a lot of things, but during their college time or during their peak time, uh, there's so much burdened by the expectations that uh, the thrust of doing something loses within them. So how can this change even further? Though it is changing, but how can it change even faster so that most of the youth excels?
Thank you for the great question. I know, in fact, I'm an example of what you just mentioned because I became a doctor because my dad wanted me to be a doctor, but I didn't stop just being a doctor. That's a point. Is that whether you became an engineer because your parents pushed you to be an engineer, or you tried to get into AIMS like I tried to, I didn't get into. So I wasn't the best at taking Indian entrance exams, and most people are not. But the trick is never stop following your passion and never stop studying. So, I went into MBA after my MBBS. I went into fellowship managing hospitals after my MBA. Went into Harvard in healthcare delivery after that. I went into, now I'm, again, working with the law school and getting into law. So again, the point is, never stop following your passion to what you want to become, irrespective of what your basic education is, and never stop studying, lifelong. So just because you became an engineer and you didn't get into IIT and you just got a regular job, it's not an end for all. Open up for passions, whether maybe it's through art, maybe it's through business school, maybe it's through creativity, maybe it's through painting, maybe it's through dance, maybe it's through other things which you don't know about. Like, for example, I know engineers who are now going into masters in AI or machine learning. And there are people now getting into courses on chat GPT and other things. So every kid's dream in America is to be either, how do I work for Google or for Tesla or, Elon Musk. And it doesn't happen like that. Their entrance exams are not like what we have in our IIT entrance exams. This is not something you learn by heart and you mug it up and then you write the exams. You learn the 100 questions. No, they are going to think about how can you be creative. And my suggestion to everybody is try to start up something, whether it is a small business doing something from your home or creating or selling something of your own, of anything for that matter. India is now the opportunity, the land of opportunity for new businesses, new startups. I believe Prime Minister's office has been pushing for it. That's exactly why America did well, because everybody who went into America, most of the startups in US were done by Silicon Valley, by Indians. Most of the Fortune 500 companies are managed by Indian IIT graduates. Most of the prominent doctors in America are Indian doctors. For everybody from the Surgeon General to the people who are running for president are Indian origin. So we are, whether it is the Prime Minister of UK or the to the other countries which have Indian origin people managing it, there is no shortage, or there is no handicap for your brain. Use it. The only thing which you can do to harm it is by stop studying. I mean, I'm talking about lifelong learning, and stop using abusive products which can harm your brain. So if you can keep those, and then one point I would say is that always respect your elders. If you don't respect your parents, if you don't respect your teachers, I think that's one thing which the Indian tradition teaches you. This will come around. So, respect for your elders, speak to other people with respect, whether they are rich or poor, it doesn't matter, irrespective of what they are. Um, show respect to everybody else, then you will succeed in life automatically. The trick is never give up hope and keep studying.
Yeah, that's a key message you have given. Never giving up hope. Always striving for success, what we call it. How do you rate success as a word? So, success, according to you, is achieving something, or staying happy in life, or anything else?
No, in my word, success is if you have achieved something for the world. So it's not just something for you selfishly, like bought a latest, let's say, Mercedes electric car, you've made it. No, that's not true. Let's say you fly first class in business class in airfares. Does that make you successful? No. The moment you die, these are all gone. What matters is, what does people remember you for after you're gone? Has this, Supreet Singh or Dr. Joe Chilal has made a difference in his life or her, to the world?
So how can anyone doing any work uh, contribute to the society, to the nation, or to the world? How can they do it? Like, for example, if somebody is uh, pulling a rickshaw, so his priority is to earn money for him and his family. For a person like him, how can he change his mindset in a way that he can still contribute?
But you can be the best at what you do, even if you're a rickshaw puller, or if you are a cleaner of a toilet, or your job is as a sanitizing or employee in a bus depot. If you do the best you can, and without cheating anybody, and let's say if you find while you are pulling a rickshaw, your passenger left 100 rupees in the back seat accidentally, would you take that money and keep it, or would you give it back to them? Would you find, if you find a plastic bin or a plastic waste garbage on the side of the street while you're pulling the rickshaw, would you take it and put it in a bin, or would you let it be there? Would you like your country to be neat and clean, or would you like just to leave it the way it is and you take care of yourself? So the point is, be a little bit selfless. Again, you have to do the best you can. You need to earn money to make a living, but while you're doing it, but if you help others, there are people who are always less fortunate than you are, whether it is your neighbors, there are street kids who are coming in, whatever. If you can guide them in the right way. Again, ultimately, I'm not talking about giving money to people. I'm talking about teaching them how to make money. It's not about, if you give somebody 1,000 rupees, you cannot keep giving 1,000 rupees every day to make them, so that they can eat. But if you give them a job, or at least teach them how to do, or whether it is a cleaning job or whatever it might be, or a rickshaw pulling job, doesn't matter. Give them, if it's a student or a younger child, make sure they go to school and study hard. And if you buy them a book, yes, that's a great thing. So I would say the best gift you can give to people is education and self-confidence, and give them trust and hope in themselves. So it's not just, that you have to be born with a silver spoon to be helping the world. No, everybody. If I think the new the way India changed in the last 9 years is an example of how things can be changed if there is stable government. I'm not saying it's a BJP government doing it versus a Congress or a Aam Aadmi doing it. It doesn't matter. All parties can make this happen, as long as they're stable and they can love the country and do what is good for India. The infrastructure in India is completely. When I come back to India in the past 10 years, I can see the changes live happening in front of me. The roads are wider, the cleaner, neater. We have double the size number of medical colleges and medical schools and AIIMS we have in the past, now than ever. Our airports are all, technologically savvy, much better than most world-renowned airports in the world. In fact, I just came through Bangalore and, was going through facial recognition I didn't even need to show my boarding pass. So the Digi Yatra, India is getting better at what we are doing. We just need to, instead of causing havoc and fighting about your neighbors, let's strive together to for better yourself and a better India and a better world.
You're right. Personally, I also believe that honesty and trust are the most important things one must carry throughout his life. Nowadays, people find it a little underrated. So, according to you, honesty in terms of your work, honesty in terms of your relationship, honesty in anything, is it more important or rather than achieving the goals?
I would say you got to have both. If you achieve goals without being honest, no one's going to trust you, right? So you could have all the goals, you could be the richest person, but you'd be hated by everybody else. Do you want to be the most hated person, but with money, or do you want to be the person whom your friends trust? Like I have friends who were, friends of mine from my childhood. I still talk to them. I go to their house and we break bread, and we're still friends. It doesn't matter what we believe in politically or not, but if they know you can be trusted, that's the biggest badge, of honor. So again, what I'm saying is, stay, keep your friends close to you while being honest. At the same time, you can walk and chew gum same time. You can also achieve your goals and work hard. Ultimately, you can do all these things without one or the other.
So, what has been your mantra like throughout as when you started your journey? Because when you start your journey in a foreign country, the challenges are much different than what people see. So, if somebody is wanting to go to any country outside of India or like from any country to other country for a better pasture, so what reality check people should have in mind, and how should they be prepared beforehand?
Again, if you want to fail in life, you're better off failing in India, because you're better off. I mean, you won't starve to death. But you can't afford to fail if you go overseas, because you took all the risk of flying to another country where you don't have any relative, you can't borrow money from somebody just because you are short for your dinner. So you have to make it on your own. So ultimately, it's a risk. It's a risk, like you are trying to climb Everest. You're trying to achieve in the Asian Games, like the people who just won, 107 medals for India. Um, it's a challenge you take, and the risks you take. Um, so my advice to people is, keep taking risk. You will lose sometimes, but most likely, if you take enough risk, you will always succeed. So in a foreign country, um, there's no limit to how much risk you can take. Like, I went from India with $80 in my pocket. I learned to fly, airplane, just for a hobby, just to take a risk. Because I was afraid of flying. Seriously, I was seriously afraid. My first flight in my life, when I first went from here to Kuwait and Kuwait to Chicago, I was afraid and I was throwing up. I thought I was never gonna make it.
So, you've been facing your fears like,
Face your fear straight on. I said, I'm gonna go and learn to fly. So now I've flown over maybe 1,000,000 miles after that, but and sleep peacefully after that.
talking about different hats you have put in. You've been active into media as well. You've been running a newspaper. So, how is this diversity happening? Because uh, you have been president of many different medical fraternities. Then you have served with the U.S. Navy as well. Multiple things you have done. So, how did this happen in your life?
Again, the need was there 10, 12 years ago when I started the media, because it was always anti-India, especially the American media. So, how do you change the narrative? Because when the reporters don't listen to you, they see India as a third world country, underdeveloped country, not a developing country at all. And every news is against India and Indian Americans, that we are doing this, we are doing bad. So I thought, we need to give platform to people to promote the success, because our youngsters need to see stories of success so that they can follow. They don't have leaders they can follow, because it's a new, you know, next past couple of decades, there hasn't been much stories out. So that's the reason why I got into media. I teamed up with a partner who was a chief editor for Indian Express, and then been publishing ever since. Went into the press club, joined the club. Now was the chairman of the press club last year. Now my partner is the secretary of the press club. So we control over 40 print, online, and TV and other medias, along with hundreds of other online platforms. So, and then that then became the largest press club in the North America with for Indian associations, because we have now Canadian, Australian, everybody joined together. It's been good, but it wasn't the case 10, 20 years ago. So when it's easy, there is money, like Pakistan was funding media in America, China was funding media in America, India wasn't. Indian embassies were close to Indians. That's all changed now. So now I can walk into an Indian consulate, meet with an Indian ambassador. If I want to organize an event in the Indian embassy, they are happy to organize the event for you, for your association, for your cultural society, for your press club, whatever. That wasn't the case 10 years ago. I think, the new administration and Minister Jaishankar has changed that. Now the consular generals, the ambassadors are instructed to help Indian companies promote. They bring in trade missions from here to US. We get invited to help them out. So those things are happening. Indian companies need to be pushed. Indians need to be pushed. Our stories need to be told. People need to read it, and they are reading it. And now, the mainstream media is listening to it. So, it's not just, we have now Indian American journalists now working in Wall Street Journal, in New York Times, in USA Today, where they get interview me and people like that. And we do promote.
So how's the narrative changed in US for India now?
It is much different. Like now, as most of the companies, like for example, the Google, the Microsoft, Adobe, most of the Fortune 500 companies are managed by Indian. Before, for me to become a CEO of a company, you couldn't even dream about it. As an Indian, unless you are a white person or a Jewish person, you are out. That was not even a glass ceiling. There was a steel ceiling, unable to be broken. The narratives have changed now. Now Indians are now, the prime working candidates, to be sought after, to be CEO roles or C-suite roles. I work as a C-suite employee of a publicly traded company. There's no Indians there. I'm the only Indian there because I was chosen because of my book, and they saw, and that the banks were recommending to hire somebody who was Indian. I assume because being an Indian is now a badge of honor. I would say, be proud of it. Be proud of an Indian, and use your skills wisely. But as I said, never go give away to drugs or alcohol because that could put a hinder back.
What is your take on the brain drain which has happened from India to those countries? Now, is it benefiting India, or like has it taken India back many years?
It was a brain drain, when we were training our IITians, our medical schools, and you see most of the doctors, most of the IIT graduates leave overseas, especially when the government is paying for the education, including myself. That has changed now. When we believe in the Vasudeva Kudumbakam, the one world, and one family, one country, one nation, one healthcare, everything is into one. I think we paved the way. The Indians are there in every country for that matter because of the reason, running major corporations and helping India now back. So they are now the Indian ambassadors, even though India has, most of the countries, like, I'm not sure this, America has over, 40 to 60,000 foreign service diplomats worldwide. You know how many India has? 800. Yeah. So, compared to the 40,000 or 20,000 Canadian diplomats worldwide, India has 800 people, who are the IFS officer, who are the diplomats who does our jobs. They have to work extremely hard to get what India needs. Now the benefit is the Indian American diaspora or the Indian Canadian diaspora. There might be a few exceptions, but are pitching in. So when India needs help, they reach out to Microsoft, they reach out to Google, they reach out to companies, CEOs who are then lobbying on behalf of India to the American ambassadors. I mean, in fact, I remember when recent trip of Prime Minister to US. I was working with the ambassador to arrange a joint session of the Parliament where the Prime Minister wanted to speak. Again, it was unheard of. It was basically never given to an Indian Prime Minister twice, because that's the fifth of any president ever given the chance to speak at the joint session in the history of America. So India would have been, like the chosen one. So, but how did that happen? Because we reached out to some of my friends who are Indian American CEOs, who are friends of the speakers, friends of the, because we need both parties, Republicans and Democrats. They need to combinedly invite so we lobbied, the Indian Americans lobbied, to get that happen. Same thing for the trip to the White House, for the state visit. White House never had 7,000 people in the White House ever in the history. I was there in White House. The lawns, the grasslands of the White House to Indian diaspora to come in, and everybody came in and we celebrated. So it was 7,000 people inside the White House to welcome the Prime Minister of India. Again, it doesn't matter which party the Prime Minister belonged to. It's the Prime Minister of India. He deserves attention, deserves the respect of Indians and the world.
So as you're a proud Indian, so I connect you with that. So when you're a proud Indian and you go outside and you sometimes find that you're not given that attention which was way back when you mentioned it used to be there, but now as the narrative has changed. So how does it feel now that uh, as a patriotic or a proud Indian, when you're out and you're treated specially and you're called as one of the uh, top powers in the world? So how do you feel when you see that happening?
Yeah, I could again. It was we felt discriminated 20 years ago. Um, by everybody, in the sense the whites didn't think us as we thought they were equally considering us as to blacks, and blacks didn't think us as blacks either. So Indians were coming in, they think we are stealing their jobs and we stealing the opportunities because they knew we were smart, but we have funny accent.
Do they still feel the same?
Now, no. Now they're realizing that Indian Americans are giving jobs because most of the perception is that we are the smartest ones. Like, for example, people want to go see an Indian doctor because they know that Indian doctor is a smart one, versus a regular doctor. So remember, the Indian doctors are there because they're the best. Because it's not easy to get into America. It's not easy to get into the training programs. It's not easy to. So now they all became well. So they're known for the intellect. So the people are now choosing Indian doctors. 1 in 7 patient in America is seen by an Indian doctor. Even though we only make up for a few percent of the doctors in America, our people work hard, much harder than most other people. We don't shut our phones at 5 p.m. in the evening. Our doctors take phone calls 24 hours. We work every weekend, nights. We work our I would say our ass off, so that because we want to provide. So that is now seen that we are the most hardworking people. That's the whole reason why either Sundar Pichai became the CEO of the companies, or our Microsoft CEOs, or the Google CEOs, or Adobe CEOs. Now it's a different kind of perception that it's now one of our own is running for U.S. president, and he's unapologetic being Indian. He's unapologetic being a funny last name, Ramaswamy, and he's proud being a Hindu and promoting it widely there as I'm an Indian, I'm a Hindu, and my father is still an Indian. So his father is still an Indian citizen, and he's proud of it. And I'm friends with his dad and his mom for past over a decade. So these are changing the perception, and he's booming in polls. He's now second to Trump in the Republican primaries.
That must be motivating for the Indian diaspora as well. And now the Indian people must be more proud of being Indian and called as Indian.
Definitely. And it's not just being Indian. It's just that being Hindu or being Sikh. We have Nikki Haley as well. She's her parents are from Punjab. Again, it's two Indians running against each other, which is a great thing. And the second thing is we have, it's not just the Indian origin, it's the Indian religion now being discussed. We talk about Sikhism, we talk about Hinduism, we talk about Indian Christians, we talk about Indian Jews. Now the people are all fascinated. They want to come visit India. To a point, the tourism is going up. We'll have medical tourism coming more, and I believe India will be saving. I mean, the G20, we did a great job. Our presidency in this year in promoting the world, especially the global South, and we've been pushing the African Union. We've been supporting. The Africa now sees India as a big brother, leading, and not just because people don't trust China. They don't trust Chinese products, and that has changed the way in America as well. So if there's a choice between Indian product and the Chinese product, they will choose an Indian product.
So you mean to say it's a great opportunity for Indian business?
This is a great time. If, like, for example, I just bought this iPhone 15 in USA. I was hoping I could buy an Indian-made iPhone 15 because the chances are less, because only 8% of the phones are made in India. 93% are still made in China. But that's going to change the way things are. And the Chinese are promoting on social media saying that, oh, how do you identify an Indian-made iPhone? Does it smell like curry when you open the box? Come on, that's not going to cut it anymore. In American people, the common people, the world trust Indian products for quality. World been using our pharmaceutical products for a long time. Or 80% of the products coming to America are made in India. Our recall rates have gone down, our quality has gone up. good companies like yours have been bringing in good products, and I want to be part of it. And we have now Indian hospitals, Indian owned hospitals in America giving care, and then we want to build on this and to expand what we can do better for the world.
That's actually very inspiring. And as the theme of our podcast is inspire me, so what is that thought which you would like to share, which can inspire the youth, not only in India but across the world, watching this podcast, and which can bring a change in their life?
So my suggestion to my final thoughts to everybody is never stop trying, keep studying, never give